OMAD, what is it? The first thing that comes to my head is always OMAD, bro. But well, let's dive in a little bit more. We're gonna talk about the pros, the cons, and how you can apply OMAD or 1 meal a day. So you may have heard of something called OMAD, and like we said in the intro, it's an acronym that stands for 1 meal a day. And the idea here is that if you're only eating 1 meal in a day, you're probably going to be reducing the total amount of calories that you're eating. And this is a pretty simple strategy, and a lot of people they like to do things that requires as little thinking as possible to try to get some kind of results out of it. And saying, hey, if I'm only eating 1 meal in a day, well, then I don't have to worry about anything else. Let's see if we can make this work for me. So what we're going to talk about are some of the pros of what OMAD is, some of the cons, and then how if you wanted to do it, you could apply it and still see good results. So the first thing that we want to talk about is what is OMAD really? So what you're looking at with OMAD is kind of a different application of intermittent fasting. So typically with intermittent fasting, you'll see around like a 4 to 8 hour eating window. So that just means that you're waiting to eat at some point later in the day, which is usually just skipping breakfast, and then you cut off before bed. So noon to 6, like a 6 hour eating window, is very popular for intermittent fasting. So let's show you a little bit about what noon to 6 looks like in relation to OMAD. So if we have noon right here, and we'll say that this is 6 p.m., you would have an eating window that's right around there, right? So you're trying to fit all your food for the day in that little window. Now with OMAD, you're probably going to break it down to more like 30 or 45 minutes because it's just the amount of time it takes to eat 1 meal. You start eating and you eat everything that you can and then you stop. OMAD. So OMAD is just like a super compressed eating window. And there may be some pros to it, there may be some cons to it, but let's investigate to give you the clearest picture possible of what OMAD really is. So the first thing that we're going to talk about are the potential pros of doing OMAD. So because you're compressing your eating window, there's likely going to be increased caloric control. So we'll write that down. Caloric control. So what that means is that when you have this really small eating window, the odds are for you to be able to fit in everything, you're probably going to get full and not want to eat anymore, especially if you're eating whole food sources long before you've hit what your maintenance calories are. So let's say that you're maintaining on 2,600 calories a day. 2,600 calories in a meal is a lot to eat. That's a ton of food. So if you're going to try to get all of that in just 1 meal, it's going to be very difficult for you to do. So that's one of the first pros. The other one is appetite control. A lot of people, when they do intermittent fasting or different types of fasting, are suppressing their hunger hormones because those typically don't pick up until you've had your first meal of the day. So the longer you can go without eating, the less impact that those hunger hormones are going to have on your body. And as a result, it helps you control the total amount of caloric intake that you're having. And that's one reason why a lot of people, when they are doing some kind of a fat loss goal, will stick to some kind of fasting approach. And OMAD is a pretty extreme one, but it's popular probably because it's extreme. So let's talk about some of the potential downsides of OMAD. The first one is that you're going to have less available fuel for training. There are some people who can handle training on an empty stomach, and there are others who can't. And when you're training with any kind of intensity, let's say that you're doing HIIT training, sprints, you're doing high volume weightlifting, a lot of things that require stored carbohydrate energy, if you're in a fasted state and you've burned through all that, you're going to have a hard time maintaining your performance and seeing quality workouts. So if you're doing OMAD, it's going to be kind of difficult for you to time your workouts around when you're eating to be able to get the best performance possible. And the next one is that OMAD is by no means a guarantee that you're going to be in a deficit. So you can still definitely overeat. So if you're overeating in that 1 meal, which is entirely possible, you're not going to see any results. So let's say that you're somebody who does have a big appetite and you need to be eating like, let's say 1,600 or 1,500 calories to lose weight. It's pretty easy to get 1,500 or 1,600 calories in a meal, especially if you're famished. So you might be the kind of person who has a little bit of a harder time fasting and you're extremely hungry by the time that you start to eat. And then once you start eating, you go pretty much full Cookie Monster mode and you just start shoveling everything in. And if in that 1 meal you are eating beyond your total day's energy expenditure, you're not going to lose weight and you're probably going to gain weight. There's a lot of people who will use OMAD for a while and then start to kind of stall out because they're not accounting for what they're eating. They're just saying I can have whatever I want to have during this meal because it's one meal, but that's not where your results are going to come from. The results come from your energy expenditure being greater than your energy intake, and you can definitely have a day's worth of energy intake and then some in one meal. So let's say that you still want to do OMAD. How are you going to actually make it work for you? So the first thing that you're going to want to do is actually track your macros. If you're tracking your macros when you're doing OMAD, you're going to have a much better idea of how your body's still responding. Now, granted, you're going to be trying to fit in all of your protein, all your fats, and all your carbs into that one meal. So it's going to require a little bit of planning. Typically, when people do flexible dieting or macro counting, a lot of people will track on the fly. So as you're going throughout the day, you might have a large amount of carbs and fats for breakfast. You had some like pancakes with a lot of butter on it, low on protein. So at lunch I'll have a protein shake, get my protein up. You're just kind of tracking as you go, spending your budget throughout the day. Now with OMAD, since everything is in one meal, you're no longer going to be able to track on the go. You really have to plan everything out. So I'm going to go to a barbecue joint and say, all right, I'm going to order a 1/4 pound of brisket, 1/4 pound of short ribs. All right, so I'm logging that real quick, and then I go down the line. All right, now I'm going to get the mac and cheese and some apple pie, and kind of logging as you go. And it's going to be a little bit difficult. So you might want to plan ahead if you're going to do that, but definitely continue tracking your macros so that way you'll have an understanding of what your actual energy intake is instead of guessing it. Because always the clearer idea you have of what you're actually taking in, the better you're going to be able to adjust things and ensure that progress keeps going. And then the other one comes down to training, right? So you're going to want to be smart about your meal timing here. And the best thing that you can really do with OMAD, if you want to have any kind of intensity in your training, is try to have that meal later in the evening. So if you're having this very, very large meal all at once in the evening, as you're sleeping, it's going to give your body time to digest and process it. So getting up first thing in the morning to do your training, at least you'll have a little bit of energy in your system and your glycogen reserve should be pumped up just a little bit. And then your deficit will be created as you go throughout the rest of that day. So this is kind of like a brief overview of OMAD, kind of talking about the pros and cons and the basics of it. And the more equipped you are with knowledge, the more likely you're going to be to succeed, whatever your goal is and whatever your application is. And just this is a huge point to remember, is that when it comes to tracking macros or counting macros, that's always going to be at the foundational level of anything else that you choose to layer on top of it. So in this case, we're talking about how you would layer OMAD on top of tracking macros and still be successful. It's the same thing with paleo. You can go gluten-free, you can do vegan, but you're still going to need to track your macros if you want to have a good idea of why you're progressing or why you're not progressing. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, let us know that you did. And a great way to do that is by hitting the like button. You can also subscribe to our channel, and every time we see new subscribers come on, it always sparks us with joy. So anyway, we'll continue producing more content. Make sure that you, again, comment below if you want us to talk about different things or things that you're specifically interested in. We definitely take feedback and use it, and we will talk to you soon.